Today, June 14th, 2026, Flag Day. This Sunday at Boogamarsh Road Recreational Park, we'll be raising a Liberty Pole reenactment, which was done about 250 years ago throughout the colonies. And it's a symbolic reenactment, but it's part of our history. And today, you guys showing up here and seeing this you're part of the history too. So in honor of our country's 250th anniversary as a nation, a symbolic reenactment of the raising of the Liberty Pole will take place. The raising of the Liberty Pole was an important event in spreading the news throughout the colonies in early times of the American Revolutionary era. A major occurrence for colonists, it was a gathering point in getting out the news, making plans. They were real historical events, focusing on people, the actions of the leading to American Revolutionary War, the forming of a democratic government, and the development of a nation in pursuit of happiness, freedom, liberty, and justice for all. Liberty Pole, the raising of a Liberty Pole this Sunday, June 14th, Flag Day, will be a historic event, as the last time it was done was around the range of 250 years ago. Coming to this gathering, become part of our nation's history, celebrate with other citizens of our town, state, and country. And so we'll do this event here, but I want to mention two other events. The first event that we were trying to do is get everybody to fly a flag, or the colors of our flag, and on their properties, their businesses, and that's happening pretty good and throughout the town. I see more and more flags, and it looks great. And the last event that Sue Anderson will be doing will be reading the national anthem at Grinnell Beach on Declaration and Independence Day. So I'm going to retire because I got to be running around probably giving out directions, I hope, and everything will work right. We're going to have the town administrator take over for me right now.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Patrick Jones. I'm the town administrator. Our thanks to Peter Monis, the chair of the Semi-Quincentennial Commission. Peter, thank you for all the hard work that you've done. Obviously, without you and your committee, we would not have been here today. So thank you for everything that you're doing to help our country and our town celebrate the Semi-Quincentennial. So without further ado, I believe we're going to call for the colors. So I know the Tiverton Fire Department Honor Guard is here to present the colors. Gentlemen, I ask you to walk forward, and Chief, present the colors, please. Now leading us in our national anthem is Victoria.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. Beautifully done. Thank you so much. Now I will ask the president of the Tiverton Town Council, John Edwards, to bring the well wishes of the council.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Do really appreciate it. It's great to see such patriotism alive and well 250 years after the birth of this nation. And I do want to give a secondary thanks to Mr. Moniz as the chair of the semi-quincentennial. And I keep pestering him a little bit. I really think we need to deputize him and make him the flag police. So that way everybody is raising the colors as he requested. Yeah. So thank you again for all of you for coming, and have a wonderful event. Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know that we also have members of our state delegation here. I would extend the offer if they want to say a few words. Senator, Representative.
Thanks.
Wow, that's an extension of time.
You guys are putting me under a lot of pressure here. Today's a big day, especially if that people have noticed the carnation that I have here. The town of Warren and Bristol are celebrating Fireman's Sunday, so they had a mass and a parade. So I wanted to wish all the firemen throughout our state of Rhode Island well wishes and great health, because of the fact that as we're running away from individual fires and calamity, they're running towards those events to save us. So a round of applause for our firefighters. Also today marks the 250th celebration. I'd like to commend Peter and his 250th committee, and also the Tiverton Historical Society for a job well done. They're keeping us in tune with our rich history here in the town of Tiverton. As people know, Tiverton was incorporated in 1694 as a part of Massachusetts, but then by royal decree in 1746, they became a part of Rhode Island. And so Tiverton this year is celebrating their 280th anniversary in existence. So congratulations to the town of Tiverton. What else you want me to say, Peter? Because you're scripted and all this stuff for me. All right. And to end, obviously, liberty, justice, and freedom for all people is vitally important, as we founded our country 250 years ago, and it's still true today. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Senator. I believe now we're going to have Director Stokes, Rhode Island's Poet Laureate, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to introduce you to say a few words, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm tasked to provide 250 years of history in 2 minutes, so we'll try to do that. On behalf of Secretary of State Greg Amore, who chairs our 250th Commission, we want to thank you for this celebration today, and particularly recognize Peter and the Tiverton 250th Committee for this work. Why does Flag Day matter? Well, it matters initially because on June 14th, 1777, the year after we declared independence and separation from Great Britain, we would establish an official flag that would represent the fledgling United States of America. And that flag today is more than a symbol of American independence or a United States governed by a very early sovereign democratic republic. It also represents the men and women who came forward and served, in some case wounded, in another case died for each and every one of us to have the privilege today to come forward and celebrate that flag. And why does American independence matter? The United States of America today was not only one of the first democratic republics, a democratic republic that stood forward to, at the time, the greatest nation in the world, Great Britain, and said, our government will be organized, our government will be led for the people, by the people, and each and every inhabitant of the new United States has natural born given rights. No king or queen of Europe would take that stance or believe in that system. And the American Revolution started a revolution for freedom and self-determination, not only here in what is today the United States. Within 10 years of the completion, the successful completion of the American Revolution, Haiti and France would follow as representative democratic republics. So what's important that we recognize today is not only our freedom and the flag that represents that freedom, but we were the beacon light for the world, recognizing that no king or queen should determine how we worship God. No king or queen should determine how we support government, particularly through taxation without representation. And most importantly, no king or queen will dictate how we live our lives as independent, free citizens. That's what we celebrate today. And I'm quite proud to be here with you in Tiverton to recognize this important contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we're going to move on to our fifer. Thank you.
I'll play a couple tunes for you.
Now we're going to move on to our guest speaker, a retired Army officer, retired Lieutenant Colonel Fred Zillion.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak on this historic occasion. And Peter, if it's okay, if you're standing in the sun and getting hot, please come in the shade. Come stand behind me. So I've been asked to speak about the Liberty Pole and American freedom. And let me begin by explaining the origin of Liberty Pole, and then we'll go to the Liberty Pole and American Revolution, and finally some thoughts on American freedom and liberty today, which is Keith Stokes has already talked about. So the Liberty Pole, that is a wooden pole or perhaps a spear, topped by a cap of liberty, not unlike that red hat there, or the red hat that Peter is wearing. It originated in 44 BCE. Now, I'm an old American history teacher. 44 BCE, the Roman Empire, Julius Caesar. All right, a group of senators assassinated the Roman dictator Julius Caesar. You recall that he had been a dictator, made dictator, and then declared dictator for life. This was too much for a pretty large group of senators, so they plotted against him. After he was killed, the assassins marched through the streets with their bloody weapons held high. One was carrying, it was called a pileus. This is a hat of a freed slave. It was red, on the tip of a spear. And this symbolized that the Roman people had been freed from the rule of Caesar, which the assassins claimed had become, what's that T word which we Americans don't like? Tyranny. By the 1600s, the Liberty Pole had become a common element in the depiction of liberty, perhaps in small images, but later also as an actual large physical object planted in the ground, used as a type of flagstaff. Now, to the American Revolution. So 1763 to 1783, the Revolutionary period, Liberty poles were erected in town squares, some even on private property, where they became symbols of dissent and resistance to British rule. For example, they appeared in Concord, Massachusetts, Caughnawaga, New York, Savannah, Georgia, my own New Jersey, Englewood, and of course, across the water in Newport, Rhode Island. The British royal authorities would have them torn down only to be replaced by new ones erected by, what was that group of men that led the resistance? The Sons of Liberty. In New York City, for example, an often violent struggle over Liberty poles raged for 10 years during the period. For example, in January of 1770, a group of off-duty British soldiers became fed up with all the insults from the colonists, and so they ransacked the Golden Hill Tavern in New York City, where the Sons of Liberty like to drink and meet. And they also took down a Liberty pole, I guess, in the vicinity. So the Sons gathered in protest and attacked the soldiers, who retreated back to their fort. The Sons then erected a new massive Liberty pole, we understand about 80 feet tall. And on top of it, they put a weather vane. And what was the word they put on the weather vane? Take a big guess. Liberty. So during the siege of Boston in August of 75, a tall Liberty pole was erected on Prospect Hill in Cambridge, a fortified high ground overlooking the road to British-occupied Boston. When a flag, usually red, was raised on the Liberty pole, it would signal the need for the Sons of Liberty to meet, perhaps the townspeople also to meet, and to discuss some issue in resistance regarding British rule. In some locales, a Liberty tree, rather than a pole, served the same purpose. You may know that this year in virtually every Rhode Island municipality, we are planting Liberty trees in commemoration of the 250th. In April, for example, the town of Newport planted its 5th Liberty tree since 1776, when Newporters gathered to protest the Stamp Act. Okay, now my last part. What about liberty and American freedom today? Now let me challenge all of us a bit as citizens of these great United States, celebrating liberty and freedom. Now these words have always been important to Americans. Do you know how ubiquitous they are in our culture and economy? My financial advisor's company is Liberty Wealth Advisors. My insurance is not Liberty Mutual, my most hated TV commercial, by the way. It's Liberty National. Sometimes I do business in Middletown with Liberty Tax Services. I was driving down State Street in Bristol and I passed what laundromat? Liberty Laundromat. It frequently, of course, appears in our songs. I'm thinking of a song by the Eagles and my Aretha Franklin, Freedom. I notice a gentleman right here on his t-shirt is wearing our word freedom. You may know, some of you are as old as I am, the summer of '69, what happened in Woodstock, New York? Yes, Woodstock. Richie Havens was plugged in at the beginning because the first act, they couldn't get him there. When he finished playing all his songs, what songs did he play? Freedom. He just kept going and going. If you watch cable TV and you see Ted Danson on the Consumer Cellular commercial, what's your phone number if you want to call and get Consumer Cellular? 1-888-FREEDOM. What does it say on the New Hampshire license plate? The other day I saw a Pennsylvania license plate. What does it say? Let freedom ring. Our highest civilian award is the Medal of Freedom. Folks, we love this word. Let's think about it a little more deeply and let me give you 3 challenges for all of us. First of all, let me give you a recommendation on the time period for our celebration here. We're calling this the 250th of the American Revolution. I think it's better named the 250th of the Declaration of Independence. Granted, a very important part. This is when the part of the revolution that relates to breaking free from Great Britain. So, my recommendation is that we do celebrate, commemorate, and do the hard work of democracy, not for 1 year, but for 12 years, because it wasn't until 1788 that we really had a viable governmental system, not under the Articles of Confederation, they were a disaster, but under our current U.S. Constitution. Now, 12 years sounds like a long time, but folks, I think we have a lot of work to do. So let me challenge all of us with at least 3 things we need to keep this exercise in self-government alive, to perpetuate and perhaps even extend freedom and liberty to other peoples within our country and outside our country. First, quite simply, I think we need to get to know each other again and better. We are a nation of nations, that is a collection of different peoples with different languages, religions, and cultures. There were many Native American nations here when the first European settlers arrived, and many disparate immigrant groups arrived in the succeeding centuries, not to mention the hundreds of thousands of Africans who were forced to come to British North America since 1619. First challenge, we got to get to know each other better. Second, I think we must elect leaders of character and force them to act with integrity. We cannot have leaders who, once elected, retreat into personal gain and incivility to each other and to their fellow political leaders. We must restore, I believe, a code of honor and civility if we want to maintain a democracy. If we want to go to some type of other political system, fine. Other forms of government, especially authoritarian types, do not need this. However, in a democracy, civility is necessary. It's a necessary oil to keep the machine running smoothly. Without it, genuine communication between us, that all important activity and compromise wither and die. Okay, number 2. Number 3, because we are a democracy living in the same house, I think we need to reaffirm our fundamental beliefs. Ultimately, we are a nation bound not by blood like other countries, or background or wealth, but ideas. Thomas Jefferson, although a slaveholder of hundreds of enslaved Africans, wrote the first and unalienable one, that all human beings are created with the same fundamental rights, not related to one's skin, name, gender, religion, background. So during these 12 years, let us discuss and debate, ask and argue, and try to define those fundamental beliefs. And after we do this, after we redefine and reaffirm our American creed, let us engrave it in stone somewhere very high and prominent for all to see. Ladies and gentlemen, let us celebrate today, this month and next. Let us hold our glasses high and tip them, play some John Philip Sousa music, and watch some fireworks. But let us gird ourselves for the necessary work of democracy to be done these next 12 years. Let me leave you with the words of one of my heroes, that latter-day founding father, Abraham Lincoln. If destruction be our lot, we ourselves will be its author and definer. As a nation of free men, we will live through all time or die by suicide. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Now we're going to take a brief intermission because the next part of the agenda is to move to the Liberty Pole before we all get sandblasted. But I've been told that Peter baked like 24 cupcakes over here. 250, so we can't take them home. So let's take a brief, maybe 10 or 15 minute intermission, and then we're going to move on to the Liberty Pole.
We are about to proceed to the Liberty Pole. Ladies and gentlemen, Town of Tiverton, Rhode Island, Town Council, 343 Highland Road, proclamation, Liberty Days of celebration. Whereas this year, 2026, the residents of Tiverton, through the Tiverton Semi-Quincentennial Commission, will be celebrating the 250 years of the founding of our country, the United States of America. And whereas, in keeping with the spirit of the signing of the Declaration of Independence and recognizing such a historical event of our country, and be it therefore proclaimed, the Tiverton Town Council hereby declares that June 14th, 2026 through July 4th, 2026 shall be declared as the Liberty Days of celebration in Tiverton, Rhode Island. Tiverton Town Council, John Edwards V, President, Tiverton Town Council, May 11th, 2026. Let us give 3 cheers. Hip hip huzzah! Hip hip huzzah! Hip hip huzzah!
Thank you. That's it, guys. Today, June 14th, 2026, Flag Day. This Sunday at Bogamarsh Road Recreational Park, we'll be raising a Liberty Pole reenactment, which was done about 250